thank you for having me here. I must say that when I first approached the expo today, I was pretty impressed and overwhelmed at the sheer size. There's some fantastic exhibitions, some great innovation in terms of what is happening in store and at shelf, which was a really nice segue into the conference itself. So far the speakers have been really interesting. There's a fantastic mix of retailers and brand manufacturers in the room, which is great. It's always fantastic to have them at the same table and to start kind of co-creating and collaborating together, which was the premise of my presentation today. Sure. So the pendulum has shifted a lot in terms of historically the brands had all of the power, and the brands were enough of a driver for shoppers to enter a store. And now we're in this era of just proliferation of choice and of SKUs, and brands, or retailers rather, have become brands in their own rights, and retailers have created this sort of sense of affinity with shoppers and with consumers, and now when a shopper walks into a store, they're walking into a retail environment that they themselves have chosen, that speaks to them, that speaks to their values. And in the last few years, what we've seen happen is that brand manufacturers have been lulled into this kind of transactional relationship with retail owners. It's very much driven by price, is dictating the amount of space or the amount of promotional initiatives or campaigns that a brand is able to do in a store. So riding off this insight that retailers are brands in their own right, I think it's really critical for brand manufacturers to understand that, to know that transactional relationships are just a spiral to the bottom, and to know that it's really about collaboration. It's about building off that retailer's own equities and their own brands themselves, and helping to solve challenges for retailers. I think I addressed in my presentation, the Holy Grail is really about helping one retail brand to differentiate from its nearest competitor. And that works for traditional trade, general trade, or rural marketing, as well as the more modern format retailers. It's understanding the environments and those retailers' business drivers. Yeah, sure. Look, it's still a physical space, and it's still a space that people are coming to engage with, less so obviously than the more modern formats in which they have an opportunity to peruse and to engage with brands. Understanding that a lot of the exchanges that happen in traditional trade in India can be over a counter. Often product selection is driven very much by the retailer, not by the shopper or the consumer. So it's really about tapping into those insights. What we mean by the human advantage is that even in the Kirana stores or in traditional trade, we have an opportunity to engage a human being in the physical sense, and it's an advantage over the e-commerce and the digital platforms. And I mentioned in my session as well that millions of years of human behaviour aren't dissolved overnight with this resurgence of digital and e-commerce. We're human beings first, and that exchange that we have in those traditional trade outlets here in India is still incredibly powerful and valuable for a shopper.